Today I'm wearing my Omega CK859. I've always loved how it bridges old school elegance with just enough modern flair, kind of like what we're talking about today. Except in this story, only one brand is winning big in the resale market. What if two brands made equally prestigious watches, but only one of them consistently shooting up in value after purchase? Welcome back, everyone. For those new to the channel, I provide independent market analysis on timepieces, no paid posts, no sponsorships, and definitely no one weird trick to afford a Nautilus, that kind of stuff. I purchase data from credible sources like Watch Charts and Chrono24, so you get the truth, not the hype. And today's truth might make some Royal Oak fans check their pulse. Good thing their watches have excellent chronograph functions. In today's video, we're diving into why Patek Philippe consistently beats Audemars Piguet on the resale market, often by tens of thousands of dollars. Here's what we'll cover. First, how product strategy quietly builds or kills value. Second, why scarcity is more than mere limited numbers. And third, and most important, how brand narrative shapes long-term perception and price. The Nautilus probably gained another 1,000 in value during this intro, so let's get right into it. Let's start with some basic facts. Patek Philippe produces 75,000 watches annually, while AP makes around 50,000. Both are independent, family-owned manufacturers with centuries of heritage. Both create what can only be described as mechanical art, and both have iconic steel sports models that have defined luxury watchmaking for decades. But in the secondary market, it's no contest. It's like comparing a perpetual calendar to a day date. They both tell time, but one is clearly more impressive. So why does the market reward one and penalize the other? Let's look at the numbers. Patek tells a clear story. AP tells 5 at once. Looking at our August 2025 data, Patek's core catalog is refined and focused. Nautilus, Aquanaut, Calatrava, and Grand Complications. Each collection occupies a distinct position in the luxury watch ecosystem. Sports, casual elegant, dress, and high complication. This clarity extends to their design language, which evolves with deliberate restraint. A Calatrava from 30 years ago still harmonizes with today's collection, creating a coherent visual identity that reinforces the brand's continuity. AP, meanwhile, splits attention across Royal Oak, Offshore, Code 1159, with a dizzying array of materials, dial colors, and case sizes. Within the Royal Oak line alone, we see extreme variations, from 34mm quartz models to 44 concept pieces, skeleton dials to diamond set bezels, and limited editions that sometimes contradict the core aesthetic. It's like they're trying to be the Swiss Army knife of high horology when collectors want a perfectly crafted timepiece. Let's look at some specific examples. The Code 1159 chronograph in rose gold retails for $52,000, but commands only $29,000 on the secondary market, a 45% loss. The Royal Oak Offshore Diver in white gold retails for $72,000, but sells for just $35,000, a 51% drop. Even the Royal Oak Offshore Self-Winding Chronograph in titanium, retail of $43,700, trades at just $29,500, losing 32% of its value. Meanwhile, the Patek Aquanaut 5167A retails for $26,000, but fetches $53,000, a 104% premium. The Nautilus 59901R retails for $133,000, but commands $234,000, a 77% gain. Even their experimental pieces like the Cubinus 5822P with its $93,000 retail still trades at $140,000, showing a 51% premium. Collectors reward consistency, Fragmentation creates confusion, and confusion kills a value faster than a magnetized hairspring kills accuracy. When a brand's identity becomes diluted, it impacts the perceived exclusivity of owning any single piece from their catalog. Patek doesn't just limit supply, they make every watch feel like it's earned. Even with a healthy budget and solid connections, getting a Nautilus or Aquanaut from an authorized dealer is about as likely as finding a watchmaker who doesn't own a loop. The waiting lists aren't just long, they're practically generational. As they say, you never actually own a Patek Philippe, you merely look after it for the next generation, assuming your agent even calls you back. Patek's distribution strategy is deliberate and disciplined. They maintain strict control over who gets which models, creating a sense of privilege among those who secure the most coveted pieces. Talking about you, Stallone. This isn't just about limiting numbers, it's about calibrating desire through selective availability. The boutique experience reinforces this exclusivity, hushed environments where each timepiece is presented with reverence. AP's expanded production and numerous offshore variants are far more available, which softens the collector urgency. When scarcity feels manufactured rather than genuine, the mystique evaporates. Their wider dealer network and more transparent availability create a different buying psychology. Less of an achievement and more of a transaction. Our data shows the Patek 57121R commanding 104% premium, retailing at $93,000, but selling for $189,000. The Aquanaut 5164R retails for $68,000, but sells for almost $100K, a 47% premium. Perhaps the most telling is the Nautilus 5811 1G, which retails for $78,000, but commands a whopping $143,000 on the secondary market, an 83% premium despite the substantial retail price. Compare that to Royal Oak's offshore diver in white gold, which loses half its value, or even the classic Royal Oak chronograph 41 in steel that trades at only a 26% premium. The flagship Royal Oak Extra Thin does perform well at $67,000, a 78% premium, but it's the exception rather than the rule. Perceived scarcity is as much about story as it is about supply. Patek masterfully controls both, while AP seems caught between exclusivity and accessibility, like wearing a dive watch to a black tie dinner. You're not just buying a watch, you're buying a worldview. Patek positions itself as eternal, generational, restrained, the horological equivalent of old money, which whispers rather than shouts. Their famous advertising campaign says it all. You never actually own a Patek Philippe. It speaks to heritage, legacy, and permanence. This narrative permeates everything they do, from their museum in Geneva to their emphasis on patina, provenance, and auction. Their design choices reflect this philosophy: subtle evolution rather than revolution, classic proportions, and restrained complications that demonstrate technical mastery without ostentation. Consider the perpetual calendar 5327R, a 114,000 masterpiece that represents the culmination of decades of refinement in calendar mechanisms. Its design is unmistakably Patek, but could never be accused of chasing trends. AP, by contrast, has increasingly embraced a narrative, innovation, disruption, and contemporary relevance. They were early adopters of celebrity partnerships and positioned themselves as the choice of cultural icons rather than traditional elites. The offshore lines, bold proportions, and experimental materials reflect this ethos. They're conversation starters designed for immediate impact. The Code 1159 collection exemplifies this approach with its complex case construction, unconventional lugs, and modern typography. It's technically impressive, but lacks the historical continuity that anchors Patek's. AP's partnerships with athletes, musicians, and fashion designers further reinforces their identity as a luxury brand for the moment rather than the ages. Our data reveals this pattern clearly. Even when Patek models lose value, they retain cultural respect. The elegant Calatrava 5227G retails for $45,000, but trades at $26,000, or 43% discount, yes, but still regarded as a classic dress watch. The annual calendar 5396G sees a similar depreciation but remains a horological benchmark. Meanwhile, the visually striking Code 1159 self-winding in steel retails for $27,000 but fetches only $17,000, a 37% loss with far less collector enthusiasm. The 1159 chronograph in steel fares even worse, trading at $23,000 against $38,000 retail price, a 40% depreciation. The Patek 59901R Nautilus time travel retails for $133,000, but commands $234,000 on the secondary market. That's more than a financial premium. It's a validation of the brand's narrative power. Similarly, the Nautilus 57121R sells for $190,000 against its $93,000 retail price, demonstrating how Patek's story of timelessness translates directly to sustained value. This narrative disparity explains why even AP's most successful models, like the Royal Oak Extra Thin Jumbo, can't match Patek's overall performance. The Royal Oak may be iconic, but it's positioned within a brand identity that increasingly emphasizes contemporary relevance over timeless appeal. Resale value isn't just about specs, it's about how deeply a brand implants its meaning in your head, like the difference between checking the time and checking in with an heirloom. Patek's narrative suggests your purchase is joining a continuum of excellence that transcends trends. AP's narrative celebrates the now, which inevitably becomes yesterday. This analysis isn't only about numbers and data. It's about alignment between what you value and what the market rewards. If you collect for heritage, scarcity, and design rooted in time, Patek may feel like home. Patek has mastered one thing better than anyone. They make you want what you can't have and cherish what you do. It's like they're setting their market complications to perpetual desirability. What's your take? Can AP catch up, or has Patek secured its resale crown for the long haul? And which strategy resonates more with you as a collector? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, remember, in watches as in life, it's not just about keeping time, but about how you spend it. See you in the next video.